Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome everyone to our Chapter 5 ASCCA meeting. Thank you very much for taking the time from your busy schedules to attend. Tonight we have an intimate crowd. So happy to see everybody here, and let's get our meeting started. So if we can start by everybody rising, we'll start with a flag salute. Flag is at the back of the building or the room, and on three. 1, 2, 3. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Joseph, would you represent us, please?
Let's pray. Loving God, thank you that we can gather here tonight. We ask that you help us learn things tonight that can improve our shops, our businesses, and improve our communities. And Lord, we ask that you would somehow be involved in the elections that take place next week. We ask that you would do what's best for our nation. In Christ's name, amen.
Thank you, Joseph. I hope everybody had a good Halloween. Got some candies. You need a dentist, I got a referral. Hope you scared some little kids like I did last night. That's why I lost my voice. I was a goblin. So, all right, well, I'm glad we all attended and we're here. So we're gonna do introductions. So if you get the mic, please say your name and the shop that you're from, how long you've been an ASCCA member. And if you're here from somebody that invited you, so introduce those that were invited. So I'll start off. My name is Tim Shakarian. I'm from Beamer PhD Motorsports. I'm here with my wife, Johanna Reichert. We've been in the association about 6-7 years or so. And I serve as your chapter representative with ASCCA, the state, as well as your president. I'm happy to be here, and I absolutely enjoy the support and the enthusiasm that this chapter puts together. So that's me.
My name is Peter G. I'm from Silver Star Service in Monterey Park. I've been probably about 8 to 9 months now in the association. Just cruising along, just picking up all the tips from all you guys, from just trying to improve things. Thank you.
I'm Kirk from Advanced Muffler and Auto Service, Pasadena, and a member since '67.
Past president.
1967.
Joe Gomez from Mark Fisker Auto Center. We sell GM parts to everyone, not everyone here. I wish it was everyone here. I've been in the organization, I think, for 7 years, I believe, and I do enjoy it really. A little bit earlier, I was speaking, and I was saying, I really wish I had won that organization prize, I think about a month ago. And just putting in the plug. She presented it, yeah.
Hello, my name is Sean. Here with my wife, Brenna. We own Sean's Auto Care in Van Nuys, and we've been a part of the ASCCA since March of this year, and we love it. Thank you.
Good evening, Jack Harabadian, Quality Car Care in Whittier. I've been a member since January. Very happy to be here. For those of you who doesn't buy GM parts from Joe, please give him a chance. I was in a bind last week, about 2-3 weeks ago. Parts didn't come in on time. Somehow it got misplaced, or he didn't get my order. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon from Ontario all the way down to Whittier, he brought the part with his own personal vehicle to me so I could get the car done. Where do you get service like that, guys? Mark Christopher, Joe. Thank you.
Oh, I was giving it to you.
How you guys doing? I'm here representing Crown City Tire down the street with some of our coworkers. First time at this meeting, and I think it's probably going to be more coming. Well, you guys know Valerie, so I'll let her take over.
Hi. Okay. We're with Crown City Tire Auto Care. We've been a member for over a year. Yeah. I'm like, right? Tim? Great. I mean, I can't say anything negative about it. It's just great. I love the conferences. I just love getting everyone's information, and it's so cool how we all learn from each other's successes and mistakes, and we all just are bringing this industry and elevating it to a new level, and we're all doing it together. So let's keep doing it.
Introduce your team.
Oh, yes, I have the awesome Brian here. Say hi. My tire tech. I got one of my main techs, Ted, here with the hat. And then I got my tire alignment guru, Lester, with the hoodie. And I have my awesome manager, Robert.
That's hard to follow up. I'm Mike from A&E Automotive. Came a member early this year, and so far everything's been really good with it. So thank you everybody for everything. There's only one other guy, but he won't even come to the meetings with me. So.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carl Arnold, and I was graciously accepted to speak today with NGK. We got some training going, and I just wanted to say this group is fantastic. So far, I have called on a lot of the members, and every shop seems like they have a lot going for them, and I can see that with the leadership of Tim and the association. So I'm very proud to be here, and in a few minutes I'll tell a little bit about a training that we have going.
Thanks. My name is Norman Blyden. I'm a CPA and business broker. For businesses, we do monthly financials, payroll, we do income taxes, and as a business broker, we help clients sell businesses as well as buy businesses.
I'm Bruce Hawley with Hawley Insurance Services. All I do is insurance.
A little more than that. I'm Jim Ward from Ward Service in Monrovia, and I'm past president, and I've been a member for a long time. I don't know how long. Longer than that.
Hello, everybody. My name is Bobby. I own Olive Auto Center in Burbank. Been a member since January, not by choice, by force. It's his fault. No kidding. It's been, I showed up a couple of times with the previous owner and started to join in January. It's been great. I've definitely made some changes as a result. So I highly recommend whoever is not a member, definitely become a member.
My name is Ar Hartunian. I'm with Hart Motors. I just joined in March by force. I just do cars.
Gotta make it go.
Mike from Lex Mastech in Pasadena. I've been a member of a couple of years, maybe 6, maybe 7, plus minus. I really love the group, learned a lot. I'm not sure. Current vice president, and love to be here.
Yeah. I'm Gary Papirian from Bessards Opera Automotive in Los Angeles. Been a member for a long time too. And my beautiful wife, Ani.
No, we got two more. Yeah, Joseph and Wendy.
I'm Joseph. You met me when you came in. I'm the chapter administrator.
And the glue that holds everybody together.
Yes. Thank you. Wendy Luco, PCC, Pasadena City College, and I don't have my other instructors here, but we do have Rio Hondo, ELAC, Citrus, and ourselves as part of your chapter, so it's awesome.
They're probably extremely busy because I know I'm extremely tired. This is cover up. Grants are due, so I was up writing stuff Thursday, did ask for $315,000, so we'll see if it comes through. Our advisory meeting is November 9th, and it's gonna be hybrid, so you don't have to be there in person, but if you do, we do have breakfast buffet and burritos.
Tell us more about the advisory.
The advisory is in the morning, so we usually start at 7:30 and our meeting starts at 8. And that way we try to end by 9 because we know you guys have a lot of customers already waiting and mass chaos. So I think Joseph, did Rowena send you the invite? I think it's gone out with the link. So either way, we could email it to anyone who needs it. And we've had like Joseph, I was gonna say Appler, John Epstein and Angie and from people from other chapters joined. And it's great because it's auto, how it affects us at the state level. So how it affects, and it's good for the deans to hear this information. We do need surveys and data from you guys. So that's what goes in. When I ask for $350,000, I have why and the evidence. So, you know, it helps us greatly. And we all have advisory meetings. I think Citrus is having theirs soon. Oh, yeah, there's been a lot of dates this month because they had their open house, which you guys attended. Thank you. So that was good for the Santa Anita thing too. Thank you. So, you know, anywhere you guys can represent the chapter, it's really, really well received. And I'll tell you from my point of view, coming from an independent shop only and having 2 dealer trained technicians only, it creates a dynamic in the shop. And the work that I've done is like a lot different, like knocking out U-joints and taking transmissions out and doing head gaskets and only bottom end bearings, which I have to do. Yeah, and so it's just, we make a good dynamic. So, you know, I really push the independent. So we've always been independent happy with McIntyre there and mechanics at City Yards at the Termin Roses is, you know, Phoenix Decorating. He was one of our past students. So, you know, he owns the float company. So, you know, you never know where your students will end up. So we hope you guys get your fingers in the mix. Don't be scared to go teach at the school too. You know, if you need a call, I'll call Greg and be like, hey, you got a shop owner that wants to go teach a little class.
And they want to hear that.
Yes. So yeah, make sure you're at the advisory meetings and you're like, hey, I could teach a class. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. And everybody that's in the background, it takes a whole entire village to raise a kid, they say. And this association is growing right now. It's alive and it has many different aspects of it. So if you want to reach out for leadership, I strongly encourage you. As a matter of fact, kind of tying this into the chapter's reps report. The chapter's reps report I can give you is November 18 through 20 is team weekend. And unfortunately, I won't be able to attend because I'm forced to have to go to Hawaii with my wife. So I need somebody, a volunteer. If I can get one tonight, that would be great. I meant to go to the chapter's reps committee. I did not say that. I meant I need a volunteer to take my place in Sacramento representing our chapter. So if you're interested in that, you know, please let me know. But the important part of that is if you've never been to a team weekend, for those of you that have, you know, you've experienced how awesome it is. I know Gary and Ani have gone and recently Sean and Brenda did. It's a really empowering deal. So I won't be able to attend. If I have a volunteer tonight, that would be great. And if you decide to go ahead and do it, the chapter will reimburse you traveling expenses for that. So what's involved is the hotel and the just how you get there, whether you fly there or drive there. So let me know if that's something cool. I guarantee you will have an amazing time. For those of you that have not attended Team Weekend, it's like this, but on steroids. And you get to see how all 16 chapters work in unison to build what we know as ASCCA.
What are the dates of that?
November 18 through 20.
It's a weekend.
It is a weekend, and It's in Sacramento. It's great because you get there on Friday night, you book your airplane, your hotel and airplane if you have to. You get there on Friday night, you hang out with all the other shop owners at the bar and, you know, having a good time and having great camaraderie. And then Saturday, there's a lot of activities about how the ASCCA works. And those of you that don't know, they're based upon committees. So, you know, we've got your membership committee and your chapters rep committee, and we've got your GovCom committee, government affairs. Jack Molodanoff, which is our state speaker, gets to speak and tell us what's going on with government affairs. And those of you that don't know, you get 33 minutes with Jack. And Jack knows a lot.
So he was the speaker, he's our attorney and lobbyist.
Thank you for clarifying that. He is our attorney and lobbyist that a lot of our dues for the state go to making sure that we stay legal in what we're doing. So if you want to be more involved in that, I absolutely encourage you. It's like, it's freeing. It's like taking the wool off a sweater. It just comes unraveled. And those of you that have gone, you'll absolutely enjoy it. So I encourage you to attend. That's what I've got for our chapters rep report. So why don't we, I think we're going to Johanna for events and planning, right? So by the way, those who don't know, Johanna, Wendy, Ani, Joseph, and Mike are on the planning commission, as we've titled it for the moment, and they're planning all of our events. So Johanna's going to tell us what's coming up.
All right, so we're going into the holiday season, which is usually more fun as opposed to just training, which I know it's fun, but different. So on your table, there's a couple different things going on. You have a flyer there, should look like this for the Mikey B training, which is this coming Saturday. Mikey B is a service advisor training. He works for BG. It's actually a really fun class. Tim and I have taken it twice, and we will be there again with our service advisor. He used to be an actor, and he's got a really big, bubbly, huge personality, super fun. So highly recommend that you go to that. He'll teach you some BG information, but also service advisor training. It is going to be lunch and breakfast included. It starts at 8 and it goes to 3 o'clock. Breakfast will be served from 8 to 9. So technically the training starts at 9 o'clock, but if you want to get there a little earlier for breakfast, please do so. And then it ends at 3 o'clock, like I said. Okay, the other thing that you may see on your table is for the Christmas party, kind of like a save the date a month from now. So it's the first Saturday of December, December 3rd. It's going to be at the Courtyard by Marriott, which is the one that we had the same place that we had last year. It's going to be super fun. It's going to be another casino night. Fundraiser. We're also going to have another photo booth. So we're going to have the same thing we had last year, which is super fun. Yeah, I think that's kind of all I've got for now. And then, like Carl mentioned, we have some NGK training. So he's going to come up to you and tell you a little bit about that. That's coming up soon, some free training from NGK. Want to come up here, Carl?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really great.
Oh, sorry, what?
The Christmas party online, the register.
There's a QR code on the bottom of this little thing that should be one on every table, and then we will be sending out the link and the information as soon as we get that created. It should be pretty soon.
Thank you. And again, my name is Carl Arnold. I'm with NGK Spark Plugs. I have represented the company for many years, and I have just recently started a new position with NGK where I'm involved more with the service shops. I run a team right now, nationwide team, that's our primary focus is get down and dirty with the shops. So this is a perfect segue into what we've been doing. One of the things that we've been fortunate enough to do recently is we just started a new training program. And now with COVID behind us, it's an in-person training instead of the webinars. And I was fortunate enough back in the summer to do training at PCC for Wendy and her summer school class. And it was so successful. Our trainer is going to be out west. He's from the Midwest. He's going to be out west to do some training in Utah. So I invited him over to California for the 8th. It's a week from today. And we're going to do PCC training again for the students. And we're also fortunate enough to do evening training for the local techs. And with the association being right at our doorstep, I live locally as well. I wanted to include the Chapter 5. I just admire the ASCCA program. I've studied up on it. We're going to try to get more involved with it. I was talking to Joseph earlier about that. And we're going to be having a domestic import drivability diagnostic tip training. And again, it's a week from today. It's at PCC. Again, it's going to be the typical evening training where we're going to have dinner served at about 5:30. Luckily for us, the PCC Catering Company, this is a new program for them, is going to be hosting it for us. Our trainer, Philip Austin, is going to be training for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours with questions. And he's also going to have some prizes to give away. And the way our initiative is to get closer with the shops, it's going to be pretty exciting. I don't think it's going to be TVs, but it's going to be some pretty cool stuff. Luckily for us, Joseph sent a blanket email out to all the association yesterday. And so if you guys want to look in your email, and then also on each table, we have a NGK sign-up sheet where we're asking you just to use your phone, do the QR code, and we have just simple registration, and I'll be retrieving that within the next couple of days. Again, we apologize on such a short notice, but we know how just this organization just covets the training. So this is something that we're real proud of. You won't be disappointed. You know, NGK Spark Plugs has been around for a while, so the drivability class is going to be exceptional. And this class is for all level techs, not only for the newer techs, the medium techs, you know, even some of the experienced expert techs might find something out of it. It's primarily focused on that B+ tech though. So just for reference, but I'll be here for another few minutes. I know you guys have a full agenda tonight. So I just want to say thanks to Tim, Joseph, and Wendy for giving me the opportunity to talk in front of everyone.
Thanks for coming out.
So the,
Just so real quick, I put 4 of these on every table.
Yeah.
It's got a
Take 'em to your
QR code
shop.
Right here, so if you want to sign up, you pick up this paper on your 4 on each table, it's got the QR code.
and you guys don't have to go with your techs. Just send them to me. I'll find them on
Oh,
campus.
yeah, and-
Parking is free. That's what I got to say.
We're doing this for the chapter 5 only. don't
Yeah,
believe-
so
Yeah.
it's parking's free in any of the lots, but the ones closest to us is lot 1 off of Colorado Hill, or lot 3, which is behind the tennis courts where Cordova hits Hill. So those are the closest to our building. And so I think everybody here has my cell phone pretty much. If someone gets lost mine, I hope you do.
I'll be sending out reminder emails.
Yeah, and so just send your texts, you know, have them get used to training, even if they're a little green, you know, have them get used to going to their evening training. And other than that, I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. And big shout out to Wendy. I know Wendy does not only the technical, which makes Zoom possible, smile for the camera, and Joseph. And I think, you know, we need to take the time to appreciate the fact that we have 5 colleges in our chapter, 5 of them. So every single one of our shop owners should be involved. Joseph?
Have an introductory member to Sylmar High School.
Oh, that's right. The new
I'm
one.
reaching out to them to
There's
see
a
if
new
they
one.
want to get more involved with.
So that'll be 6. And basically what I'm getting at is shop owners need to be at these advisories. And Johanna and I had the privilege to go to, and Mike actually came to Citrus Open House. Gene was there. The advisories make it possible for the colleges to solidify what they're trying to do. And what I mean by that is when we're there at the advisories, giving our work orders and showing the benefit of what real world shops do, these instructors have arsenal, they have information live. This is really what you can expect when when you want to get to the next level of tech, this is what you can expect. And I'll tell you right now, you know, in helping Wendy out and helping Greg out, you can tell some of the students they want it. And they're like, you're a shop owner? And then your importance level goes up with them. And that's kind of, it's cool, but it's nice to see these folks that are going through these processes and now they land jobs because I know it's Citrus, Toyota, that's a Toyota T100 program, so, T10. Here's what I know about Toyotas. But basically, Toyota shows up at these events and they put all of their students in shops. And we want to do that at the independent level. And that's why I have such a big support for not all of the colleges, but specifically for PCC, because it's independent driven. And the students that come out of these programs want to work. They already have the resources. They already have real world experiences of things that we've brought to the table, which benefit not only the instructors, their ability to get funded by the grants, correct? Because how many of these students actually get a job in the field and can report back and say, took a college program, it benefited me, and now I'm a tech at this shop.
Our level's about 96%. They all have jobs.
96% of the students that come out of PCC,
We
and
have the highest retention rate of any program on.
And I'm really trying to drive home the point because it works. Yes, having experienced technicians is beneficial, but when you have students that come out of these programs and they want to work, they will look up the information on their own. They will solve their own problem. They just need guidance and help with it. So the question in our shop is, are we going to these trainings for us as owners to build the processes that we need to in our shops? So when these students come out of these programs, they can come into shops that already are fulfilling promise, that are filling expectations correctly, so that these folks can actually get real world jobs, so they can learn to solve your own problems without you having to help them every step of the way. Oh, sorry. Okay, Johanna had her hand up, and actually we need to keep transitioning.
I was just gonna say that I went to the Baldwin Park Advisory meeting 2 weeks ago, and there were 2 of us there. But they were mentioning like how many people they've gotten into jobs, and they actually said the last class they had, it was 100%, which is pretty good. I mean, I was really impressed by that. I think they have 20 people in their classes. It's an adult training, yeah, continuation. That's pretty cool. I thought that was interesting. She said 65%, 100 is good.
Of advisors in that room?
It was me and another shop owner / teacher, and there was one guy on Zoom, and they said that met their minimum. I was shocked.
Well, that actually was the yard. So
met their minimum.
most schools need 6 to 8 people outside of, like, it can't be faculty and current students. So just be aware that it doesn't count as a meeting if you don't have enough people. So we only had, I think, Mike, I think you were a tech when I first started over there, and it was like Ron would go, like we barely had, you know, the teachers barely scrounged anybody, and it was like 6, 7 people. And then because I had you guys, we're at 30 some people. It was this chapter that made the difference when I got hired. So, but I haven't seen him at the meetings lately, the instructor from Baldwin. So.
Oh, yeah, he has been attending meetings, I've noticed.
But he needs to just send the email to Joseph so it goes to you guys, because some of you guys have shops in that area. You know, if it's just you, even if you stop by, swing by, and you're on the attendance roster, you don't have to stay for the whole meeting, but it counts as attendance.
It was 30 minutes long.
There you go.
It was
So,
not that big.
so, you know, help with agendas, I can help with. So if any of these teachers need help, I could give them a template agenda, how to ask for notes and that kind of stuff. So that's not a problem. Just send them to me. For training with NGK on Tuesday morning, we're doing it 10 to 12. If any of you guys want to stop in and just sit with my students, because I've scheduled the whole day to have guests on campus, let me know. That way you could sit within the students and give them a little feel of what it's like. You know, they behave differently when you guys show up, and then you can kind of get the feel.
And they'll get the shop owners out of the shop.
Yes, it'll get you out of the shop for a little while, and you come hang out with us, and then, you know, so.
And imagine if everybody was on an advisory and you were on an advisory and you knew somebody else, or you wanted to, you know, let the whole chapter know, this is what you got from that advisory. That's kind of the vision of what we're looking for, is different shops being on different advisories, so that when you come to these chapter events, you're letting us know what's happening at Rio Honda. I've got one student at Rio Honda. I've got one student at PCC, graduated students from PCC. And it's an amazing thing because these folks want to be technicians, and they want to, and they know that you're taking a chance on them versus hiring a technician at top dollar who you hope is going to perform how you want them to. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but the question is, if that perfect tech landed in your shop today, You have an onboarding to be able to turn them into a good crew that is producing everything that we need to. If not, that's okay. I was once that shop. We learned how to do this. All walk run. So at this point, I want to talk about a few needs that we have because I want to say a big thank you to Gene. Gene Morrill from Certified Auto used to do our government affairs report, our ledge report. And since Gene is not here today, I think Anya is going to give a representation. And those of you that want to get more involved on that, I recommend that you help Anya out with it and support it because I think shop owners really need to know what's going on in the legal system. It helps and protects us. And I'm over to Anya.
Hi, everyone. So new laws in 2022, which some of you are aware of, some of you are not. So I want to just go over them. First, there's a minimum wage increase, and depending on the city you're in, it could be different. If you hit the 26 employees mark, it's $15 an hour. LA City is a little bit different than that. So you'd have to take a look to see what that number is. Yeah. So every city is different. Everyone's got their own little jurisdiction and their own little laws. The lead acid battery fee increase, apparently it'll increase to $2 from $1. Bar auto shop locator program enhancement. It'll now be able to provide bar with educational certification credentials that are nationally recognized and identify shops that have training and certification credentials. So everything is getting to be more and more online and digitized. So that information is readily available to people. It's not just your ASC or ASE badge or emblem anymore. Everything can be done online. There's an independent panel to review bar citation fine appeals. And this new law is going to require bar to create an independent 3-member panel consisting of a representative from the bar, public, and automotive repair industry to hear all appeals from any citation and fines issued by the bar. There's a remedial training process for bar citations, and this law will require bar to establish a process for an auto repair shop, and upon successful completion of remedial training to prevent disclosure of the citation and fine on the internet, and require bar to establish a program to certify providers of training. So I guess it's, in a sense, it's like traffic school. Lien authority for storage fees. Now the bar has authority to oversee and regulate disputes involving automotive repair dealers and consumers regarding charging of reasonable storage costs or rates. There's a vehicle safety inspection program, and this new law will combine the current brake and lamp program and create a new vehicle safety inspection program for rebuilt salvage vehicles. Hazardous waste. This new law will establish a new regulatory board within the Department of Toxic Substance Control, increase charges that support hazardous waste management, restructures and increases the tax that supports the DTSC, which is the acronym. Vehicle road usage charge. We were just talking about that. So there's going to be a pilot program to test road usage charge until 2027, where this new law is going to create an advisory committee on point and requires the TA, Transportation Agency, to implement the pilot program. Automobile dismantling, and this is a new law which reestablishes the vehicle dismantling industry strike team, increases enforcement, fines for unlicensed vehicle dismantling. I am sure you understand why. A failure to pay employees is a crime now, and it is a grand theft. To intentionally fail to pay employee wages if the wages equal more than, listen to this, $950 for one employee, or $2,350 for 2 or more employees in any consecutive 12-month time frame. And coupled with that is that a wage and hour penalties law, which allows the labor commissioner to place a lien on real property to recover penalties owed for violations of the labor code. So those two go hand in hand. Next, you guys all know about the COVID-19 exposure clarifications. If you don't have a policy in place, get a policy procedures manual in place. Cal OSHA violations and fines. I attended a 4-day Cal OSHA seminar where we actually had the state's new chief present with a whole host of other individuals. It's going to be nice because they're hiring more people, field agents to come out on site and do inspections. This new law, the new law expands Cal OSHA's enforcement powers, creates new categories of workplace health and safety violations, and authorizes Cal OSHA to issue citations and place additional fines for egregious violations. Have fun defining that. In addition to all of that, Cal OSHA right now is testing out the use of drones to do their inspections. So isn't that fun? So expansion of the California Family Rights Act. This new law amends the California Family Rights Act to include parents-in-law to the list of family members for which an employee can take leave under the act. And then employers need to retain personnel records longer. So the new law extends the current personnel records retention requirement from 2 years to 4 years. If litigation has been filed, obviously it's a longer time frame. I'm assuming it's going to be until the end of the litigation. Settlement agreements. Anything dealing with harassment in any way, shape, or form, or a Fair Employment and Housing Act violation is no longer subject to it's not quieted. So you can't have documentation or an agreement that says that it's non-disclosable, or it can't even be sealed. So that means all that information is going to be public and can be made public, and you can't have your employee enter into a settlement agreement which says that it's non-disclosable. I guess that makes sense in a sense, because there could also be allegations of criminal violation in there, and historically that has been regarded as you can't get someone to agree not to disclose a criminal violation. Okay, so I talked about settlement. Yes, electronic delivery workplace notices. It's a law that provides that whenever an employer is required to physically post information meant to apprise employees of their rights, it may permissive also distribute that information to employees by email. It's permissive, it's not mandatory, you can, but it does not absolve you from providing the written notices in writing. That means physically handing a copy. So you can do both to cover yourself, which most people do anyways, by just sending out the emails. I don't know if you guys use ADP or any of the other resources, you can just send emails out. So those are the laws that have passed. Now you've got a whole slew of other laws that are being proposed, which is actually smaller. Sorry, my eyes are getting bad. The biggest issue is the catalytic converter theft bills. Recently that's up. And then you've got some employment bills that are coming up. And those two are the main areas. I would suggest you take a look at the ASCCA website, and I have a link and I'm happy to share it. Which is what Jack Melodanoff does, and he creates and he fights for us. And he's our representation up in Sacramento, basically, to make sure that nothing too egregious is done. For example, did you know there was a bill that stated that if you just have one or more catalytic converters on the floor in your shop, you're now guilty of a crime? Yeah. It didn't pass. But they wrote it that way.
It was there.
It was there, but it didn't pass.
That's scary. But the other part of this is the law states if you do catalytic converters, you have to label them, put the date on them, and they have to be kept for 15 days. That means in 15 days, you can't only do converters.
Yeah.
You follow both laws, you're out of business.
Yeah, or the one that says that you have to have a fingerprint of whoever delivers it to you and whoever takes it. I mean, seriously? So there's a lot of, okay, so one of the reasons why I'm mentioning this is the following. A lot of what we do here, yeah, it's great and social, and we get to meet people, and it's a great business association, professional association. But you have to understand the major work is done in Sacramento, and we have to do that because we're not, collectively, we might be strong if we're smart and we are cohesive, but individually we're not. And you're dealing with manufacturers. And I know on a daily basis, my husband comes home and tells me this dealer or that dealer is not returning phone calls. They're not providing information. They're not providing parts. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to reveal and release information to the independents. Well, what are we going to do? We're going to lie down and take it, or are we going to get representation so that we're equally represented in Sacramento? That's where it counts. And to do that, we need funding, we need resources. Yes, Mr. Appler.
Wanted to say that we have some information over here about how you can get involved.
How you can reach out to your legislators. At the Hanson event we went to a few months ago, we met with one of the guys that is with, I don't remember the name of the organization.
Car Alliance.
Pardon me? What is it again? Alliance.
What was it, honey?
Anyway, we have some information here about the right to repair bill and why you need to get involved, why you need to call your legislator and get this thing
I think
taken
that
care
QR
of.
is an actual petition for you to put your name down on the petition. I believe that's actually a petition QR code, so that way you could go on the petition that says they need to release information. So, get your customers involved too. Remember when they were talking about getting rid of a lot of shops that were up and down by the goal line, City Pasadena, because they think they're all hoity-toity? A lot of your customers have a lot of power. You guys don't realize it. If they know what headaches you have and it can make their life worse, they'll do something about it. So if there's important stuff, put a little postcard with, hey, did you know this might be happening? We might need to increase, we are batteries already, but hey, you know, this tire tax. I remember I actually went with Rocky to Sacramento to fight that extra $225 tire on top of what we already have. So get your customers involved. Some of this stuff is if they know what your headache is, sometimes they'll back you up. And some of them are like secretaries to like the mayor's office and they'll get shit done. So.
So I don't want to bore you, and I know we've got a dynamic evening planned, and I know legislative discussions always end up making everybody fall asleep, especially after the food coma that you're induced in. So I want you to understand, however, how important it is to support anything that deals with representation, especially in front of a political body. There's been several events where I was the only one present, and I was actually having a one-on-one Zoom discussion to air out to basically champion for independence regarding the catalytic converter issue. That whole grant, remember, Wendy, that they were trying to see whether or not to fund trades. There was an assembly bill on point. It died. We didn't get enough support. If we'd gotten that funding to community colleges or trade schools,
That was the high school.
and not just, they were going to give it to UCs, 4 years, and community colleges. That bill died, and there's so much money we have a surplus in California, and it died. And they're not willing to fund trade schools, trade tech. I don't know what you call it, but all I'll tell you is, so yeah, necessary, important education to run people's lives. Okay, so it's really important for you guys. I know a lot of people are kind of like, well, I don't want to even deal with this, it's too boring. But you still have to help and you still have to promote it and support it, because that boring stuff is going to mean the difference between what we're able to do and what we're not. Because that boring stuff, you know, the guys with the horn-rimmed glasses sitting behind desks and on computers, well, they're the ones who actually type up stuff and actually do things that can impact you into the later on. And you've got November 8th coming up. Between now and then, you've got a lot of decisions to make regarding your voting. And there's a lot of things, as Joseph said, hopefully God will guide you into making the right decision to help us in this state and this county of ours in order to lead it into a better path. Okay, that's about it. That's my spiel.
Thank you, Ani. So as you can see, government affairs is really technical. And I got to give a big shout out to Ani, who knows this backwards and forwards. It is really important that we represent our side on the independent of how we're doing it and why we're doing it, because these are the laws that change. And sometimes when you're the only one there, how you do it is the authority of how you set the precedents for all the other shops. So thank you for supporting us for that, Ani. We greatly appreciate it. Craig is not here to give us a NASDAQ report, but ASCEF is the educational foundation that has the scholarships, that gives out the scholarships for every year. And I encourage you to look more into it. For the sake of time, we're going to skip over that right now because we want to get right into our agenda.
We do have some brochures over here.
Yeah, for AAC, yep. So it's been quiet because our scholarships haven't opened up yet. So it's been quiet. The money's been there, and the scholarship will go live. It's always due March 31st. Automotivescholarships.com. There's more than just ours on there. So anybody, and encourage people to go to that website. There's a lot of different scholarships. We do need people to read. So it's not always falling on the same board members, you know. So reading the scholarships really helps, but you should, you need to read the whole group. It's not like you can read half, because then the scores don't even out. You got to read all of them, and we could get anywhere from like 50 to 75 or 80.
What are those scholarships? Like, what are you reading?
We're reading basically the student information, where they're from, a personal statement, their goals, like a goal statement, and that kind of is where I really stick to, because I want to see if they have that independent spirit. There's some that are just strictly, oh, I want to work at a dealership. I go to, you know, they're going to like a T10 school, or they're going to Rio and they want to work only on Tesla. I'm like, so, oh, it's recorded. Hi. So, but does that make sense? Because it is the spirit of our scholarship is for the independent. So, but in all means, like I've had some that say they want to get experience, you know, and it's like Gary, they want to go get experience, be a master tech, and then open their own shop. Like, boom, there we go. So, we need readers. If you guys are interested, it's all, they get sent to you, you have a login, and there's a real easy rubric. It's real easy to follow. It's like 4 or 5 steps for each scholarship. And you just grade it, and the totals get done by the state. We have an admin that will score everything and put it in a chart. You don't have to do any of that. It's really great. And then it's like, okay, do we pick the top 5 or the top 12 based on how much money comes in? Because it is based on interest that we gain on our accounts. So we're like, well, we want to give out this much or that much. It's usually about $500 per scholarship. We've had, luckily, last year was really good. We had some get 2. So it helps them with $1,000, and it really helps. It helps the students out quite a bit.
You know when it opens, Wendy? Because I thought I got an email saying they were open already.
They might be open already. I thought it was a little too soon. I don't know officially if it's open. I didn't get an email yet. So I usually promote it highly at the end of this semester and at the beginning of next semester, so both semester students can get it. But check it out. It'll tell you right there, because you click on automotivescholarships.com and it'll come up under those lists. Okay, if you want to read, let me know.
Reading means looking over the application, reading the
Wendy, does it have their name on it?
It does.
So like, if I volunteered and two of my employees sign up for it, is that gonna be a conflict?
You would have to ask the committee. I asked that myself too, because I am a teacher, but they know I can be impartial. I've been impartial. It's, I've given scholarships where I don't even have students that apply and it's other schools. It's fine. Students are students. This industry is what needs it. So, we could always ask another person to grade those that you're skipping. You know what I mean? We could have somebody else come in from not this chapter, read those, so we can.
We can do that microphone that you have right next to you.
The key, I think the key behind it is it depends on the involvement. The more involvement that we have, the smoother the process is. So basically what they're talking about in a short nutshell is this. You get to go and read the applicants of the folks that want to enter into our industry as technicians.
It's
And-
you get about two and a half weeks to read them.
So I encourage you to get involved. Not only does it help out ASCEF, but the donations is where they get a lot of the funding behind that. So donate if you have a customer's car that they don't see any value in repairing it any longer. They ask you, what should I do with this thing? That's one of the ways that we can encourage them to go ahead and donate it. And Gary, you had your hand up. You want to mention something? We've got about 2 minutes before we get into the main meeting.
You said that they're graded at the state level?
Yes, because we are all reading all of them.
So,
They're not just for this chapter.
so you're reading them and grading them, right?
Yes.
So the winners are decided by the state level?
By the board of ASCEF, yes.
So when they've decided, they just basically hand out the scholarship to the person who actually was the winner? Is that how it works?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Why?
Because at the time when I did it, it wasn't like that. The last 5 people that were left, some of the main shop owners that were part of ASCCA sat down and asked them about the questions and interviewed their answers in person. This way they got to meet the person and see how serious they were, how dedicated they were, so that they decided if this is someone to give the scholarship to. Because I can't remember when it was, one of the days when I was here, I met a young guy and he had won the scholarship. I can't remember what school he was from. When I approached him, even though I didn't need anyone, but I wanted to get his information, he said, "Oh, I don't know if I'm going to stick in this business." And I thought, wait a minute, you just went through a course, you just won a scholarship, you came to this meeting, and what was all this all about? So I don't want the resources of the winning to be wasted on someone that just wants to go there to get recognition.
Well, Gary, sometimes it's hard because we're gambling. We're gambling, we can hold them and retain them.
Well, you're gambling because no one's interviewing these people, no one's talking to them face to face.
But Gary, it's hard enough to get the committee to read 70 applicants. So you guys as a chapter, but you got to get on board with ASCEF, but ASCEF is a state entity. It's not this chapter alone. So for your chapter scholarships, you guys can decide to do that if you want, but then that's your decision at a local level.
So if you have more questions, I think we should probably defer that.
But does that make sense? So because it's too much information for us to take those scholarships ourselves digitally. These are done digitally. They're sent, they're graded equally. You know what I mean? The rubric is the same for everybody. So there is a way though. Kate Peitzer at the state can extract the ones for our chapter because it does say which chapter these students belong to and give you those applications. But that's up to you guys as a local to do. But we haven't had any locals ask. We're lucky because we're giving scholarships away to other locals that don't even have an active chapter.
I think the key behind it is to make sure that you're getting involved with ASCEF. So if you have any further questions on it, go to the website, check it out so that we can move on to our main part of it. So at this point, we want to get into our main program. And our main program is entitled, Are You Ready for Next Year? I'm ready. We started our planning, so we're gonna go ahead and turn it on over to our panel. And we want to invite on Bruce, Ani,
Yeah, Audie's the moderator.
and Valerie.
And Norm.
Mr. Norm Blyden, you're needed.
And the microphone to Ani, she's the one in charge.
Thank you. Oh, can I just say thank you for the folks that help support and put our, little skirt table together, and remember, shop owners over the shop owner.
I think, yeah.
I'll bring you chairs. Can I have help? Do I have chairs?
I feel really short. I feel really short.
Next to it.
Next to the screen, right?
This side of the speaker.
This side?
This side of the speaker.
No,
We don't want that this close to the speaker.
Okay. The dynamic trio. Finances, insurance, and how to run a shop, an actual operator. All right. Well, given the situation, let's start with Bruce, and then we can go to Norm, and then we're going to tie it up with Valerie regarding using everything that's being said over here, and then we'll have some question and answers as well. Okay, so I'll hand you the mic. Yeah.
All right, so a couple things I've learned tonight so far. One is that Norm and I are sponsoring the Christmas party.
thank you.
Two, that we're dynamic. Thank you.
Yes, you are.
So what to expect in 2023? So just a couple things. Property and casualty. All you guys I meet with annually or every time we do a renewal. So we kind of go over a lot of this stuff. But what I see happening, pricing wise on work comp, I do see it changing. I see it going up. So there's a few new guys here. Peter is relatively new in the industry. Bobby, been in the industry. You guys have been in the industry, but I'm meaning shop owners. Rates 5 years ago were probably $6, $7, $8 net rate, and it's down to 3 and 4, at literally half. So we've hit a bottom, so to speak. It's going to start coming up, especially with inflation, especially with indemnity rates, which is what you pay your guys. All those rates have gone up. And medical rates continue to go up, obviously. So I see that starting to move back up. But I have guys that are literally in the body shop industry that are $1.50, $1.75. We're cheaper than Colorado, Nevada, Utah, Arizona. Those used to be 3 times to 2 times, sometimes even 4 times lower than what we were. So we've definitely hit the bottom. We're coming back up, but it's with inflation. I could see. I knew it was going to happen sooner or later, but it's going to propel that up. Rates on buildings, rates on your business property. You really need to start looking at, and we talk about the building rates. Years ago, 3 years ago, it was $150. Now it's probably $200 for cost to rebuild. So if you own your own building, we talk about it, but you really need to look at it. And then I'll skip down. I never talk to you guys about your own homes, your own auto, your umbrellas. You really need to look at your homeowners and make sure that you're insured probably for $300 a square foot. So if your home's 3,000 square foot, you probably need $900,000 worth of coverage now. To give you an example, the Paradise Fire, which was maybe 4 years ago, there was 60% of the homeowners up there were underinsured, meaning they had to come out of pocket to rebuild their places. For one, even myself, I look at my own stuff, but I've never had, and I have a broker for my own personal lines. I've never talked to them about our rates, about what I have for coverage. basically I do it myself. And I think probably a lot of you guys do unless you're talking to your personal lines agent. So I would tell you to look at what you have, not only for the homeowner's coverage, the limit, but also the business, not the business property, your own property that you have there, and have riders on your jewelry or your watches, stuff that's expensive. Because if you don't have it, they're not going to cover it. So if you have a $10,000 piece of jewelry, if you don't have a rider on it, they're not going to give you coverage for that. They won't pay $10,000 for that piece of jewelry. So take a look at your personal lines. I don't talk to any of you guys about it because we just don't do it, but it is important. The umbrella is also important. We do the commercial umbrella for your businesses, but on your home, you need to look at that. Umbrella is going to cover your auto. It's going to cover your home. It's going to cover any rental properties you have. So you really need to look at that stuff. I mentioned the work comp rates, the valuations, personal lines. Just had it happen. A lot of it's been talked about on Team Talk with the credit card theft, meaning they're stealing the terminals. So I had a Midas shop in La Puente that had it stolen probably about 3 to 4 months ago. I was talking to Joseph earlier. And he reported to the bank, but didn't report it to, he was trying to call the merchant services and he couldn't get a hold of them. They racked up $100 grand on it, on his terminal, and the bank isn't going to cover him for it. So he had to get a lawyer and all that. But just here in Pasadena, had a shop. A lot of things went wrong here. They stole the terminal. His keyboard was, you could see through the window, it was on the wall. They stole 4 cars and they stole the terminal. That was the easy thing. The alarm didn't go off because they didn't set it. They had a $60,000 Jeep there that should have been picked up that wasn't. They put 2 cars in front of it to block it, but the keyboard had all the keys on it, moved the cars, took the Jeep. They stole 4 cars. And that was at a shop on Lake Avenue right here up the street. The cars are covered, all that's covered. You get $24,000 on the terminal. The bank's going to cover that. But needless to say, he has a safe. He's going to put all the keys in it and his terminal in it from now on. But it was a ring that came and took everything. They could tell just by the cops looking at everything. They knew that it was a deal.
They're getting buildings, shops, like how are the insurances?
Well, I mean, for every car that you have there, it's $1,000 deductible with pretty much every carrier. So that, if there's a cap that's $3 grand, you got $2 grand that'll be covered, $1 grand that isn't. But it's $1 grand for every vehicle. So if you had 4 or 5 vehicles, it's $1 grand for every one of those. So it's,
Same time that I wouldn't see it.
it doesn't matter. It's still every vehicle. So if you had a fire at your shop, they'll cap it at 5. So same thing, they'll cap it at 5, but most of the time you're not having 5 cats stolen, but I've had 4. I've had guys with 4. Okay.
Early on in my experience in the automotive field, I used to work for an Italian guy that his shop at one point caught on fire. And fire department advised him to actually leave the keys hanging on the door. So in case of a fire, they need to move cars out, they need to find the car, they need to find the key. So locking up the keys at night inside your shop, I don't think that's a very wise.
Yeah, I know. It's just a tough one. The bummer about this is that,
Especially they didn't set the alarm. I mean,
right,
what is that?
there's a few things wrong. One is that you could see all the keys on the board. The terminal was on the counter, and he had went home. The daughter had went home. The shop guys locked up the shop, didn't set the alarm. If the alarm would have went off, everything would have been fine. They would have got the terminal, but they wouldn't have got anything else. They had all the time in the world. They could have stole all his scan tools, everything in that shop. They didn't even go in the shop. They just took the keys. They tried to start a Mercedes up. The fuel pump was bad. They couldn't take it. So then they took the keys for the 2 cars in front of the Jeep, stole the Jeep. The Jeep owner should have picked up that car that day. He didn't come.
So when you guys leave a car out, and you say, hey, the guy says he's gonna come and pick it up, you're still liable for it. They're gonna go to your direct primary, everybody in here has it. They're gonna go to your insurance and your insurance will pay, and that's it. It's on you. Even though you told the guy to come and pick it up, that's the problem.
Still in your property.
Even drop off, same thing. It's hard to fight that. It's gonna be on you.
Drop-offs too.
Yeah, if you had a customer drop it off and he put the keys in the slot or whatever, it's most likely, it's gonna go on your insurance first. He can turn it into his, but their insurance carrier is probably gonna come after your insurance.
But don't you have to have a site report?
Well, there's gonna be a lot that's gonna come out, you know.
What about the disclaimers, right? Like you have.
It doesn't
work?
It doesn't hold up.
Really?
They'll try, but most direct primary is gonna just cover it. They're gonna say, okay, we'll cover it. They may go after them and say, hey, you know, they signed this, but it's limited in terms of.
What if somebody just drops something there?
That's,
and has the car stolen somewhere else, and then say, yeah, I dropped off the car.
Yeah, it's a little, I mean, you're getting into a lot of, yes, but yeah. It,
I suggest every one of you guys, if you have any homeless people in your shop, instead of getting upset, once in a while, give them some cash and have them watch your shop, make sure they have them set. Because that works wonders. You repeat that for the.
okay, so what he said is, he said, if you have homeless people around your shop, as long as they're not lighting your shop on fire, which I met with somebody today that had their shop, the side of it lit on fire, but the main thing was they lost a $50,000 sign.
There's a couple of guys in my area I wouldn't trust, but there's one or two, they always want to clean for money. Say, hey, I'll give you money for cleaning. Here's another $20 at night, yeah, my.
To watch it, right.
And they're always by their shop walking. They text me 3 o'clock in the morning, say, hey, someone's looking in, what should I do?
Well, that's a very good point, because my son just today went to Jersey Mike's to pick up some sandwiches. He goes, Dad, he goes, there was a homeless guy just threw a piece of rock at the glass.
Yeah, because he's a whack, yeah.
Because while I'm ordering, the guys out there cleaning up all the shattered glass from daylight.
But you're right, it's funny, but I saw somebody today and he had 2 guys out there. And I said, hey, are those guys watching your shop at night? I literally said that because it does make sense, instead of being an enemy with them, to have them as your kind of lookout in a way. So that's it for me. So I've been in this chapter for over 20 years. This is the first time I've ever had to do anything like this. I've dodged a bullet all these years, and now she's done it more times than I have. He has too.
Utilizing our assets.
Yeah. Well, I meet with you guys all the time, so every time you've asked, I've been like, I see everybody all the time, so, yeah, you know.
You've talked before.
No, I haven't talked. Not this.
He remembers.
I remember.
So I used to think that his last name was spelled Holly, apropos for the, Christmas, Holly Jolly. Anyways, then I found out that it's Hawley. But he is a really great resource and can give you all kinds of information regarding workers' comp, health insurance quotes, really reasonable. He does a lot of research for you, gives you good options, and he's no nonsense. Business owners liability, premises liability, umbrella coverage. What else?
And the bill, it gives you the bill.
Yeah.
All right, so pretty much everybody here does know.
Oh, so everyone customer of Bruce's?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Do you guys review your policies on an annual basis?
That's why we have it.
Okay, he's great, but he doesn't have your brain. So I would suggest, and this is what I do with Bruce on a yearly basis, I have an independent conversation with him outside of Gary.
Right.
And then we have a nice little discussion regarding levels and premiums and what needs to be added. And if there's any holes that we need to plug up, because there's new things happening all the time. There might be an employment practices policy as well. I don't know if we have it. Do we have it? So that's great. So you've got employment practices policy, you've got discrimination. How about if we get hit with a lawsuit for discrimination?
You have the coverage, but most don't have the wage.
Okay, so that's something we need to add.
You don't have a what?
Wage an hour.
Wage an hour, but it's expensive.
It's the wage and hour piece of that gets expensive, so it's not paying overtime or the correct flag time or the breaks, or you don't have them clock in and out, all that stuff. So it's been years, but Corey King is a lawyer we've had speak. She would know him. There's only a few. Jim would know him. Kirk would know him. Yeah. You don't want to use him, but I've referred him a lot, especially in the last probably 4 or 5 years. But he's an expert in this stuff, and he's for our side. But it's wage an hour, and it does get expensive, and there's a sub limit. But most of you probably don't need it. If you ask me, you don't need to spend the extra money for that. But if it happens, you just need to pay them the right wage and make sure you're paying double the minimum. You'd be surprised how many people that are shop owners don't know there's double the minimum wage. And guys that have been in the industry for 20 plus years, like tire shops and stuff like that. It's amazing. And then I tell them, they're like, no. Like, yeah.
What do you mean with double minimum wage?
If your conditions have tools, you're legally required to.
So maybe we should have a separate discussion on point, since I'm being given the nod from the gentleman in the back to say
Go 3 minutes. Okay.
we need to move on. Sorry, it's my fault. I asked too many questions. Okay, next is Norm.
Thanks. Norm Blyton, I'm a CPA, have an office in Arcadia. We deal, maybe 60% of our business is anything related to a business with wheels. We have auto repair, gas stations, truck stops, car washes, and then we have a mixture of healthcare, doctors, dentists, pharmacies, and then we have some restaurants, attorneys, real estate agents. We handle anything from startups, and our largest client probably does about 500 million a year in sales. Largest auto repair client had about 100 employees. And in the handout, the first thing I mentioned was monthly financial statements and projections for next year. Monthly financial statements are critical. It helps you gauge what has happened, and then you look to see what you budgeted for and what the difference was. My most successful clients do projections for the next year. One of our clients was getting into a franchise business, and I said, "Have you done projections for next year?" She said, "No." She said, "How much will I charge?" I said, "Probably take a morning, I'll charge you $1,000. And she said, "That's too much, I'll do it with my daughter." So she went ahead, she spent $200,000 on investing in this franchise, and it eventually went belly up. Hopefully, in hindsight, we might have avoided that. Financial statements are critical. I've got one client who's got maybe equity in real estate, 12 million, and he's not getting along with his wife. And about a year ago, he told me he'd like to get divorced. I said, you're coming into the new year, make sure all your bookkeeping is done professionally, your tax returns are up to date. But he continued in his old way. His business has numbers on pieces of paper. His apartment rentals, same thing. So he's in a position now, he can't even borrow money because no lender will give him a loan based on these handwritten financials. His taxes are late, and he can't even get divorced now. Because if he files for divorce, the attorneys are going to ask for tax returns, current monthly financials, and divorce situation is not something you settle in a couple of weeks. They want financials, and then a month or two go by, and then they want more financials, and then eventually you get to a point where you can discuss financials that are meaningful and arrive at a settlement as to what to pay the wife. So it's not working out well for him. Monthly financials, a woman called me last week. She's got a model station in Van Nuys. She wants a new CPA. So I said, can you send me current financial statements for this year? Because if we have them, we can have a starting point and continue. But she hasn't had one financial statement this whole year. So we can't do anything. We can only probably start up in January. Financial statements, I've got one client, it's a high-end restaurant. He has one person doing bookkeeping, not us. He has another person doing payroll, and then we do his corporate taxes. So in the past couple of years, the PPP money, that's the payroll protection money, has been available, as well as the ERTC. But it's been almost impossible to put the numbers together to get him the free money that he could have been entitled to.
Norm, I got a question. Can you help us put financials together if we don't know how to do that?
Yeah, a lot of my new business is from people who can do their bookkeeping to a point, and we get involved in fine-tuning the end of the month or the end of the quarter. Yeah, we can do that. And profit and loss every month, balance sheet.
Cash flow now.
Oh.
You know how to do that? Okay.
Oh.
Well, be honest.
Call him.
Even if you get financials and you don't understand them, just email them to me and I'll take a quick look at them and give you a rundown on them very quickly if you don't understand them. I mean, it should be something you can understand easily. If you don't understand them, you're doing yourself a great disservice. Some of the new clients I got, and these are professionals, a couple of doctors, attorney, wholesale, jewelry manufacturer. I said to them, have you got a corporate book where you have stock issued, corporate minutes? And they said to me, what's that? It's not a way to run a business. When you have current taxes and monthly financials, one of my clients, the landlord, said to the client, I don't want to own this property anymore. Do you want to buy it? So we had everything current. It took us just under 2 hours. We had the application to the bank. We got this $7 million financing for the real estate in under 2 hours. And Bruce will tell you monthly financials. I mean, are you all insured for inventory? Does anyone have significant dollar figures in inventory? I mean, if it's not in the financials, you're going to cover it?
Yeah, you would. You would have, your insurance carrier would cover you for that. Obviously, you're going to see a lot of burn stuff. That it would. I mean, it's good to have it down.
It should be listed.
Take pictures and stuff. That's the easiest way.
Yeah.
That's even better than the financial statement shows what you have. Take pictures of your boxes. Take pictures of your employees.
Yeah.
I tell you guys that.
A long time ago, one of the people in my office discovered that a new client at a body shop didn't have any insurance. So he said, well, get someone to do insurance for us, which my office did. And the insurance agent on the way to the client to deliver the policy, which kicked in at 1 minute past midnight, he gets to the address. There are fire trucks all over the place. He says to a fireman, where's this address? And he said, well, if you'd have been here at 5 o'clock this morning, this would have been it. So he didn't even know he had insurance. So he gave the employee a double ticket to a tour of Europe. And then one of my clients, a pharmacist, bought a coffee shop with Mediterranean food. And in doing the taxes, I noticed nothing in insurance. I called him, especially with food stuff, you need insurance. I mean, people can get sick. I said, you've got no insurance here. So he got it. Fortunately, no one got sick. Those of you who have wills and living trusts, make sure you know what happens when both spouses pass away, because people sometimes don't take title to real estate, and it can become messy. Probate you avoid if you have a will and a living trust. Probate in LA is about 18 months. Annual corporate minutes. And then also, if you have multi-partners in a business, have buy-sell agreements, which would cover disputes, disabilities, and death. Bruce can help you with insurance.
Keyman insurance policy.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you guys, most of you guys here, most of you guys here wouldn't need the buy sell because you're not partners in business. But key man, maybe like, I don't know. No, not for insurance. If the guy that you're insuring, like say you have a tech, yeah, well, for him, yeah, I mean, there's certain people here that she's not pointing at you.
Bullshit.
True. But like if you have a tech and if you lost him, which it's not that easy to do, but you could insure that tech in case he passed away, the business would take the proceeds from that. Not too many people have that. Not too many people have a buy sell. If you ever did have a partner, it's a great idea to have that. The biggest thing that he mentioned, I think, for some of, not the younger guys, but the older guys, is to have everything put together in terms of where it's going to go, meaning a trust.
Succession planning.
Yeah.
You know what that is? Good for your businesses.
Meaning where it's going to go. Is it going to go to a daughter, a son? Is it going to go to a tech that has to pay it off from, your kids that don't want the business, stuff like that. That's the biggest thing. That's your legacy. And if you don't have anything in place for that, then it's going to go to probate and then it's going to go nowhere, basically. You're going to lose a lot.
I think that's a question that arises in most shops. What happens when you're not around, whether voluntarily or mandatory? That's
Right.
what you're asking.
Right. You want to have it go the way you want it to go. Like if you're gone, what's going to happen with the shop? That's
It'll be fun. I'll be in the devil.
yeah. Like you said, you could be a Glamis. It'll run itself.
I'll just wrap it up by saying, look at your business and determine, do you have a job or do you have a business? For instance, if you have all the key people running your business and you don't have to be there every day, it's easy to sell the business. If you don't have adequate records and the key people aren't there, it becomes very difficult to sell. I'll give you, for instance, a nephew of mine is 42. He makes and services security gates. This is not high-tech stuff. He sold his business a year ago for 115 million. And then he got invested. He has a commercial landscaping business now, 350 employees. He doesn't have to go to work every day. There's a general manager and other managers, and they call him if there's a problem.
But Norm, we run a 1-man to 2-man to 3-man shop. We need to know how that affects us in the small world.
Well, you see, if anyone buying your business, if you've got a well-structured business and the management in place, you don't, the new owner doesn't have to be there with a key to open up and the doors in the morning and lock up in the evening. You've got a business to sell. you take, you've heard of Warren Buffett. He has big stock, a big shareholding in See's Candies, Coca-Cola. He doesn't have to be there to open up and close the doors every day. But his investments are worth, he's the most expensive stock on the New York Stock Exchange.
Have you ever been involved in automotive business sale?
Yes.
How recent?
Now what?
How recent?
How easy is it?
How recent?
How recent? I'd say about 2 years ago, we sold one. There might have been one since then.
Now the business, not the product.
Not the property, just the
Day-to-day
business.
operations, is that what you're talking
Yes.
about? Okay, something called the day-to-day operations.
Yeah.
So like-
And the biggest auto repair we sold was the one I mentioned in the beginning with 100 employees. We sold it to Johnson Controls for about 7 million cash. It was a relatively easy sale.
Examples automotive business. He does, he deals with GE.
No, I get what you're saying. You're saying the day-to-day operations because you're in the pit, you're in the front. Is that what you're going with? And how
No,
can
I
you-
just want to know if he's involved in automotive business sales. Does he help sell
Yeah.
automotive?
Yeah,
business?
yeah.
And my next question was going to be, for having 100 employees selling that business at 7 million, 7 or 7?
7 million.
I mean, it's kind of low for what I'm thinking. I mean, that's 100 employees.
But
So what did you guys base it on? Gross sales, net sales? What?
it was based on net profit. And at that time, the owner had gotten involved in other businesses and need to cash out quickly. So
What's the going rate with the net profits times what?
it varies. I mentioned my nephew sold his security gate business.
No, it has to be automotive.
But it's still, if you've got a business that's functioning, you could, and it's properly staffed, you could get 10 times net.
Per month,
No, for the selling price. If you're making
10 times net, monthly net?
annual net. Yeah, if you're making 20 million a year and you sell it, you could get a venture capital company, they might pay you 200 million.
Yeah, but see, I don't know if the 10 times works for specialty business. That's what I'm trying to.
I don't think the investors are paying much attention to the type of industry. If the business itself is well run, you've got a business you can sell for a high price. Thanks.
Before we go off topic, we did have our last lovely Valerie to give her presentation. If anyone wants to have specific discussions with Norm and Bruce, please come on up and bug them for the rest of the evening afterwards.
Okay, guys, we're gonna bring it on back. Bring it on back. Bring it in, bring it in. Okay, I'm gonna stand up because.
You're like me.
We're gonna bring it on back. Come with me. Come back to the time capsule of 2022. Okay, okay. So, in order to prepare for next year, you have to know this year. Okay. So I'm gonna let you guys in on the secret. You guys want to know the secret? Come closer. Lean in, lean in, lean in. Numbers don't lie. Oh my God, they don't. So you need to review month to month your P&L statement. Anyone know what P&L stands for? Profit and loss. Everyone knows what a P&L is, right? Okay, cool. I'm gonna let you guys in on another secret. I hate numbers. I hate them so much. I failed in math. But like every woman here, I love Dateline. And I love to solve me some mysteries. I will put my detective hat on. So when I do my P&L month to month, I'm not concentrating on numbers. I am a detective. I want to know where's my money. I'm going to quote Rihanna, but I can't say it, but blank better have my money. Okay. I want to know every month, where is my money going? Because I need to know my cash flow so I can pay these guys. I can give raises to these guys. I can give more training to these guys. I'm like Oprah, you get training, you get a raise. But in order to do that, I need to know where I am at, okay? So Once I have that down, my husband and I, we can plan for next year. We can go over the budget. We can go over marketing. When did we go over our marketing for 2023, Robert? But when did we start with you? About a month ago, yeah. So we made a calendar for next year. Every month, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. That has to do with our marketing. Marketing, you always have to be consistent. How many have the flow where we're busy, we don't market, we're slow, we market, we're busy, we don't market. And the wheel goes round and round and you're like a hamster, you're like running on it, right? You need to be consistent with that. And in order to do that, you need to know where you're at. It is like a game. You're playing, you need to keep score, right? Who watches a football game just to watch you guys hit each other? No, you want to know who's going to win, right? Because you want to root for your team and then call your friend and be your team suck it, right? But you need to know where it's going, okay? So first thing, P&L. What I like to do is the first week of the next month, I like to get my P&L done, just so I know where I'm at. So was it Mike that spoke at the ASCCA conference? Yeah. Well, okay, so Mike had a great quote, and who was there at that conference and listened to Mike? What did he say about your numbers? He said, you need to be intimate with your numbers. You need to get some candles, you need to get some wine, and you need to know your numbers. And he was so right. Like he was right on the money. So you need to know your numbers because you can have a busy shop. You can be like, yeah, we're busy. And at the end of the month, well, actually, at the end of 3 months, you get the taxes and you're like, where did all my money go? Right? Are we all there? 3 months from now, you're like, we're doing well. And then you taxes and you're like, right? Okay. I do that on purpose for theatrical performance, but that's where you guys need to know where you're at. Okay. You need to know, okay, this is where we're at. This is where we're going. This is how much taxes I'm gonna have to pay. Every week, I kind of divvy it up so I know. So when 3 months come from now, I know, okay, I have the taxes here. So when that comes, I'm not surprised. My husband sees it, he's like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, I got you, boo. So we move it over. So again, know your numbers, know your balance sheet. Every month, review it. You go with your partner, you review it, have that, okay? And again, this is for 2022 and you always do it for that year. Okay, go over your budget. Okay, what can we look for cost savings? What are we spending too much on? What can we save money on? For example, our marketing. My manager's done a great job on analyzing with Yelp, Google, mailers, like each week, what are we making off that? So now I know for next year, Google, I'm getting Google approval left and right. I'm gonna put all my money towards Google rather than putting all this money everywhere and kind of throwing everything to the wall and see what sticks. I'm gonna actually go for the kill and I know where it's going for. Again, each market's different, but you've got to prepare for it. Did we hit our KPIs? Everyone knows what KPIs are, right?
Performance index.
Yeah, right, key performance indicators. So we like to do it, the top 3, and our top 3 are ARO, tech efficiency, and ADS. Everyone knows what ARO is, right? Yeah? Average repair order? ARO, average repair order, okay? ADS? Everyone knows that? Additional discovered services? What? Say what? Let me back it up. Okay, so this is really cool. Someone comes in, they need brakes and a battery, okay? You write it all up, you present everything. And I'm just gonna throw numbers out, okay? Say the whole thing's like 1,500. Again, I'm just throwing numbers, okay? Say they approve only the battery and the oil change and the bill's like 600, okay? That remaining amount is your additional discovered service, okay? Yes, exactly, but you're adding it to, so you're taking the whole amount that you got approved and you're doing your discovered services and you're dividing it.
Opportunity.
So that's your opportunity. And when opportunity comes a knocking, you go for it. So a month later, you call back, hey, Mrs. Smith, just want to make sure you got that brakes taken care of. Oh, you know what? I completely forgot about that. Well, I can bring you on in here. So it's those little things that go with your KPIs. Is it working? what's working, what's not, what can we do to improve it? And Bob Cooper said this, which is great. People don't like to tell people that their baby's ugly. I mean, my baby's really cute, so I don't know, but people hate saying the baby's ugly. And when you look at your numbers and you see that negative, your baby's ugly. I'm sorry, your baby ugly. But when you keep on going and you know where you're going and you have a goal, then you see that rise up, up, up. And honestly, we learn the most, I always say this, we learn the most from our mistakes than our successes. Honestly, before we were working too much in the shop instead of on the shop. So again, it's finding the right people. So I went over, I'm trying to go as fast as I can, KPIs. Okay, marketing, you're finding out what's working, what's not, okay? I need Robert, Lester, and Ted to cover their ears right now. Cover your ears, cover your ears. Okay, you're gonna go over employee performance and expectations as well. You wanna know who met their expectations, most importantly, who needs work and what you can do to help them get to where they need to go. Because that all comes in to your balance, to your P&L statement. You need to know this person is producing this much, but they're getting paid this much, are they producing what they can? Do we keep them, do we not? So all that stuff, you need to know, they need to know their goals. Have we went over their goals with them? Do they know what's expected of them? You go over all that, and once you have everything in order, now you're ready to move forward to the future, okay? So you're gonna set 2 goals. You're gonna set short-term and long-term. 6-month goals, which go really fast. Well, actually, I lied, way on back. 3-month, 6-month, and a year, okay? You wanna make sure you're hitting each one of them. And now you have the P&Ls to back you up. Who watches The Office? No one? No one? Darn, I can't say this one. No. Okay, now you know how much you're making, you know how much you're producing. Now this is where I want to be. How much money can go to marketing? How much money can go to training? How much money can go to supplies? Okay, you can set that up. So in 3 months, I want to be XYZ. In 6 months, I want to be XYZ. Okay, so you set your marketing budget, your equipment needs, and your training budget, okay? You need to design, again, a marketing plan, and it all starts now for 2023. It doesn't start January, I won't say February into 2023, it starts now, okay? Your training budget, recruiting. Do we recruit, or do we wait till we are down someone? You're always recruiting. Always. And I'm not lying, guys. I am so super picky. I am very, 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 very picky. I must have looked through hundreds of applicants until I find, you're kissing a lot of frogs until you find your prince, right? Am I right? So again, but you always are recruiting every day, okay? Now you have the money to go over your liability and health insurance. You know how much money, okay. You know how much money you have now to put towards that. And to me, I'm all about, my time's important, so I'm all about the service. I remember telling you, Bruce, didn't I have a claim one time and it was just going back and forth? And I told you, if they went up in money, I would have paid more if they would have handled it right the first time, and they didn't. It took me forever. And I'm spending my time going back and forth when I could be working on the business. I was like, I'm willing to pay more money just to get it handled right away. But now since you have everything in order, now you have the money to be like, okay, this goes here, this goes here, this goes there. So now you have a budget. You have a budget for your employees too. So now you have all your ducks in a row. So again, in order to get everything for 2023, you have to have 2022 in order. That's the biggest thing. And one more thing before I go. This can go out all the window, but you gotta have it. Please have it in writing, and please have a date by the date. So for example, I'm gonna have my marketing plan by November 20 of 2022 for 2023. You have to have it in writing, because if you don't have it in writing, you keep talking about it, it's just gonna prolong. Have it in writing, have a time set, and there you go. Okay.
Thank you so much. I know we have some questions. Let's start with Wendy.
So how do you know which marketing tool has brought in how much business? Like, how do you keep track of that? So, you know, like you said, you know, how do you find that out?
So every day, they have a checklist every day. And they go through and they send it to me. But Robert actually went above and beyond and he made an Excel spreadsheet, which I am in love with Excel spreadsheets. And he knows my jam. And he actually did it where Yelp, Google, mailers, word of mouth. He actually made it per week, how much income we're getting through those independent marketing.
But how are you getting those numbers? How is that being tracked? Like,
We tracked it through our POS system.
with the customers, so they have to.
Yeah, so it all goes, and this is a totally different subject, SOP process. They know they have to ask where. So it's part of the SOP process. The phone rings. Okay, Mrs. Smith, how did you hear about us? Oh, I have a mailer. Oh, that's great. Now they know. Give it to him. He puts it in. And again, that's the SOP process, totally different thing. But in order to do that, you have to have a strong SOP process and you have to remind them every day. I'm constantly reminding them. So, and they have a weekly audit and that's part of their weekly audit too. So we go over it every week too. Exactly.
What software do you use for the shop?
I use Protractor. Because I do tires too and they're very tire friendly.
All of the programs.
All have Track has it too.
Extract has it, Mitchell has it, if you Shopwork has it, Technics has it. It's about getting familiar with the software.
Yeah, exactly.
But I wanted to say, one of the key things that you said, which 30, 40 years I've been doing this work, I never got onto it, but this year, said, make sure you're prepared for 2023. What that means is income taxes that you're gonna pay for this year is in 2023. So all these years, I've always struggled with that because when the time came, it was horrible. So now for the first time, by following what she said, you learn this from Cooper program or management programs, we're dealing with accountants and different people that can advise you. For the first time ever, as of 2 days ago, we hit our yearly goal 2 months ahead. So now we're preparing how to get rid of money before the new year comes so that we don't end up paying the taxes we're paying. So we decided to pay all of our property taxes, pay the parts guys ahead of time, pay the insurances ahead of time, 2-3 months ahead of time. All of it, we're gonna get rid of the money because we don't want to deal with it. So if you're not prepared, you're not gonna be able to do this. If you don't know your numbers, there's no way you're gonna do it. So now I'm buying a welding machine, I'm gonna buy 2 hoists, I got my office being remodeled, I'm buying computers, I'm getting new camera system, because we're in a position to say, hey, you know what? Hit it, we gotta get rid of this money now. So that's how we're gonna get rid of it, because we're preparing for 2023. Now. No trophies for the wife, no trophies for the wife, that doesn't work.
Hey.
Well, actually, you know what, something else you mentioned, why to brainstorm.
It's called a retreat, a business retreat.
On a trip and take it, so these are all the benefits you get when you're on top of your business.
So.
If you're in this part, not if you're in it, but not if you're so wrong.
Is there a sample budget or template that I could see? It doesn't have to have numbers, just blank, like, these are the key things that should be on a budget.
Yeah, I do keep out. You can find-
Well, I don't have any of that, so see,
Oh, I can give you templates, yeah.
because for some people starting out, it might be overwhelming or they don't have a budget because they never thought, oh, I didn't think about that, and then you put it on later.
Class in your school with this stuff.
Well, I teach them numbers. If you want to own a shop, this is what it's like. And so that way they understand there's uniforms, there's hazmat fees, because they, it's tough. And I know that they want to go in there and ask for $50 an hour, but they got to understand why they can't.
There's actually a template too, to kind of, and again, it's about labor, which is a totally different subject, where you can charge an appropriate labor, you do all in for your tax, like uniforms, health insurance, hourly.
So that's
totally different subject.
So that's almost where I say, do you know how much you cost
Yeah,
to an
that's a
employer?
totally different subject
But anything like that would help me because I need to teach other instructors across the state to teach this because they need to create empathy in these new students because the new generation doesn't understand any of this.
Hi. Thank you.
Let's thank our presenters tonight. And on the handouts, you have all their phone numbers. So if you have more questions, you know where to reach out to. Thank you very much.
I'll